Hello everyone, and now welcome to game number 2, HLA versus yAwS, human versus undead, as we see yAwS spawning as the red human player on the top left hand side of the map. We are going to see HLA spawning as the undead player here at what I'll call the top right 2 o'clock position. Now, based upon the speed building here, I am not surprised that it is going to be a very, very fast Archmage coming out at about the 140s time, as opposed to the typical, or 145 time, as opposed to the very, very typical 2-minute time. This is going to give yAwS the opportunity to try and clear out this creep camp before his opponent is able to bring over his Death Knight. His Death Knight should be popping out about 5 seconds from now. Nope, the Altar of Darkness was a little bit later than normal, but you can see how important this timing is. Getting 15 seconds of free time to build and do all of this right here, picking up a Robe of the Magi, a very, very big item here, +6 attack on an Archmage, essentially a 25% damage boost, or if you want to think of it a little bit more simplistically, half of a footman at this point in the game. So that damage is going to add up very, very quickly. Also, the additional bonus Death Coil, the additional bonus mana and mana regeneration will also help out as well. As you can see, the peasants are now going to try and fight back here. Death Coil getting hit onto a peasant there. So very interesting to see HLA actually using Death Coils as an aggressive tactic as opposed to trying to heal those ghouls. Archmage now off to the races, so to speak, trying to get away, and the Archmage may actually be able to get in front of that ghoul, launch a shot off or two. Are we going to see, yeah, there it goes again. So the Archmage able to get another ghoul there, and that is going to be very big for yAwS. Death Knight currently sitting at only 50 experience, and I believe in terms of ghoul losses, the Archmage got a little bit more experience as well, as we're now looking at a delayed Arcane Tower. And also, it looks like, yes, finally looks like we now have 5 peasants on lumber. Skeletal minions and ghouls are now making their way over inside this space. Death Knight in position here. One militia gonna get taken out. There it goes. Meanwhile, more skeletal minions gonna go ahead and just constantly harass. Archmage needs to show up to the party. He's gonna show up a little bit late as the Death Knight has gotten in more and more kills. This is gonna turn out to be a very big issue here in just a moment, as the Death Knight now gets to level 2 as well. yAwS no longer has that big level advantage that he's had throughout much of the matchup so far, and that militia getting taken out as well. You can see that all of a sudden the Death Knight up to 327 experience just by using a handful of skeletal minions and allowing those ghouls to creep while he is away. Now, we saw in game number 1 that yAwS was able to set up an expansion in order to build that economic lead. We may see that again in game number 2, but it does not look like HLA wants to make it very easy for his opponent. You can take a look here. There is a constant peasant production, which is going to make it very, very difficult to try and get enough gold to build that expansion. Also, HLA, if he is smart, he notices and he will recognize and notice that his opponent does not have that much militia inside the base. What does that mean? It means that they are pretty much all out and about, and if they are all out and about, yAwS may end up losing this tower and be in a very, very worse spot. Now the Death Knight needs to get away. There is a beautiful Scroll of Town portal pretty much blocking any sort of escape right there, and yAwS with the beautiful placement as ghouls are now falling. Death Knight now trying to do a little bit of a last-ditch effort. He knows that he's not going to be able to heal all too much. So what is he doing? Instead, he is going after those peasants, hoping beyond hope that he can perhaps get to level 3. All right, a couple of skeletal minions are all that are left here. It looks as though no footmen will be taken out as well. As the expansion was cleared, Archmage doesn't look like he picked up any useful items. Are they left behind here? Yes, there's a Boots of Speed off over there. Was not picked up, as the Death Knight now needs to consider his options for healing. Halls of the Dead, Graveyard. We may be looking at obsidian statues here in just a moment. However, walking into your opponent's army in a single file line, all separated, not that great. The footman getting in some easy kills onto some skeletal minions, pushing that Archmage ever closer to level 4. That Archmage now seeming to be very dangerous now. 33 attack on the low end because of that Robe of Magi. Meanwhile, the Death Knight still only doing 27 to 37 damage, so he is actually doing less damage per attack. As we can see, a low hit point Ghoul able to slip away. Ghouls are just getting taken apart. Double water elementals, but we now have a surround on the Archmage. Archmage may end up getting taken down. Ghoul level 4. Wow, as the Archmage able to slip away once again. Death Knight now still sitting at level 2, may be forced to use that potion of healing in just a moment. Archmage sitting at level 4 should be able to put in a lot of pressure here, short of any sort of catastrophic mistake by yAwS. Those 3 water elementals sticking around for so long. You can see that damage, 31 to 39, such high damage as the Death Knight now hits level 3. Potion of healing now out. Lich now out as well. Are we going to see perhaps a couple of Frost Novas? Frost Nova onto the Archmage. Archmage now in a run. Footman now trying to fight back off over here as well. Are we going to see some easy shots and damage? A third water elemental again being placed down as the ghouls are just melting apart to those water elementals. Lich attempting to fight back here. Is it going to be enough? It looks like there is going to be a long enough reprieve. Water elementals getting taken out as another water elemental tries to slip its way back over here. The Spirit Tower going to add in a little bit of damage. Are we going to see the Death Knight gain any experience? Yes, he does. The towers do not finish him off, but there is still going to be a lot of work to do for HLA. He's sitting at 23 over 40 supply compared to 30 over 36. An expansion is underway as well with 1 guard tower and 1 arcane tower. Arcane vault could be added over here once more, and with the number of mercenary camps, we should be able to see a little bit of that tech advantage being made up by just spending an additional gold from yAwS. Alright, Death Knight losing a bit of mana already. Not quite sure what he was really hoping to do there. You can also see a Goblin Zeppelin keeping overhead, keeping track of this Lich and this Death Knight. Death Knight with a potion of healing, or a potion of mana, just in case he needs to get a last ditch heal onto any of his units. Now HLA pushing with only 3 footmen and a water elemental, and this goes to show, yAwS pushing with 3 footmen and a water elemental, and that goes to show you his knowledge of what his opponent has. Normally at this stage in the game, you would assume that your opponent has somewhere around 35 supply of army, and that is going to be a very decent army, especially when you're trying to wrestle away home field advantage, all of these towers, and additional healing being placed down by that blight. However, yAwS, realizing that his opponent probably doesn't have that much, and his opponent was trying to put pressure of his own, ended up hurting a little bit more. Now, we do see a lot of very low hit point peasants. 1 Frost Nova could make short work of 3 to 5 peasants if it is carefully placed, as the Lich now on its way out. Meanwhile, Archmage and Footmen also backing up as well. 1 Water Elemental getting taken down there. Death Knight considering its options. Unholy Aura. Lich. Where is this Lich going? This Lich cannot really be here. It is going in for a suicide run pretty much. Arcane Tower is going to be right there. All the peasants, are they going to be backing off? You can see that the Lich is trying to get a Frost Nova there. It gets 2 kills, but is that really worth it? HLA in serious trouble now, needs to get away. Death Knight is going to be there to lend a helping hand, as gargoyles are now out as well. Alright, Gargoyle could easily get some damage onto some of those units. However, Water Elemental does see up onto the up above those trees because of the help of that Goblin Zeppelin. Kind of like a third eye feel, where the water elemental can see whatever the army can see, and hence be able to attack that gargoyle in the air. Gargoyle trying to run away, down to 85, down to 52 hit points. May need a death coil to stay alive. Footmen are now in a little bit of a frantic run as the water elementals are trying to escape as well. Water elementals could get picked up by the Zeppelin. No, they are not. They're just being left behind to try and slow things up for the Death Knight, as the water elemental almost finishes off a gargoyle. Death Knight gets in just in time as the gargoyle now tries to back away. Alright, gargoyle down to 86 hit points. Another death coil coming in, and the Goblin Zeppelin could get taken down, and yes, it does, but no dizziness for those water elementals either, as the gargoyles now go off into their corner. Alright, let's take a look. Lich trying to get away. A new Zeppelin now arrives to the party, and with no real way of attacking the air, and this gargoyle so low on hit points, it looks as though the Zeppelin will be able to come back in. Now, yAwS with this economic advantage, sitting on over 900 gold and counting. Meanwhile, HLA is sitting in his base here, and it feels like HLA is actually in a worse situation than in game number 1. Game number 1, HLA was unable to harvest that much gold, but at least he was able to, in this game, he does have a little bit more experience on his heroes, level 3, level 1. I do believe he needs to get that Lich to level 3 right about now in order to really continue this type of strategy. Death Knight should be just shy of level 4 after this, and Lich should be at level 2. Meanwhile, Goblin Zeppelins may be trying to do a bit of a power play inside this space. You can see that there are 2 towers, and they are carefully placed to make sure that one Goblin Sapper does not take down 2 of them. Alright, HLA picking up a Dreadlord. I do not. Oh, Archmage. Is he going to try and pick it up? No. Lich ends up picking it up. There is the web. And now the Goblin Zeppelin is actually in serious, serious trouble. The Lich does have an Orb of Corruption. Is there dizziness? No, no dizziness, since I guess it was technically already on the ground. And there's a sleep onto the Archmage. Archmage now going to try and get out, but you see it ensnare, and a melting of the Archmage. Frost Nova Death Coil. I do not remember the last time I saw sleep used so effectively. All right, Water Elemental trying to finish off a Ghoul. Ghoul not going to be able, or not going to fall there, as he now goes back on the Blight and will heal back up. yAwS sitting at 26 over 60, but I gotta believe he is now upgrading the castle, and with that, and with a very, very fortified base. Surprised that we don't see fortified armor level 2 masonry upgrades, but yAwS's base is just gonna be very difficult to destroy. We need to see meat wagons with Disease Cloud, I believe, and that might actually be just enough. The Dreadlord with Vampiric Aura, those ghouls are gonna stick around for a lot longer, as we see now an Acolyte attempting to set up an expansion of his own. There's a Necropolis. Haunted Goldmine will be inbound, as well as the Lich, Death Knight, and Dreadlord perhaps make their way to this 5 o'clock position. Archmage in a little bit of trouble. Panda being picked up by yAwS over here from the tavern. I originally thought it was a quick... No, what is that? Oh, invisible Archmage able to slip through. Huge deal right there. Invisible Archmage, as we are going to be looking at as an ensnare right there. All right, there's some attacks. It looks as though a couple of ghouls will get taken down in addition to some Ogre Warriors. Dreadlord going to benefit from some additional hit points here, as the Archmage Water Elemental is going to shut down this expansion before it even gets started. Alright, Water Elemental with that piercing damage going to be enough to neutralize this effect off over here. Death Knight now just saying to himself, you know what, might as well just try and use this Undead tri-hero strategy. Destroyer now up ahead as well, and what's going to be good about this is that the Destroyer can actually devour magic and then deal a lot more damage here. Gem of Health. If that, wow, that Death Knight now up to 1,300 hit points. There's another Devour Magic, and you can see how powerful that attack is, as it does a little bit of splash damage as well. Finally, the Troll High Priests are going to be all that are left. Water Elemental does not look like it will be able to inflict enough damage to finish things off. The units are now back basically in a run again, but without any meat wagons, there is no chance whatsoever that they are going to be able to finish off those extremely fortified positions. Dreadlord somehow staying alive, good on health because of that Vampiric Aura. Ghoul now looking to back off again. Death Knight also generating a little bit of health. Boots of Quell the Loss and a Tome of Agility. Who did that go on to? It looks like it went on to the Dreadlord, so he is already up to 4 armor, or 6 armor almost, and now going to finish things off over here. Meanwhile, back over here to the top right, Pig. What did it ever do to you? I don't know, but apparently it is not liked at all, as the last Forest Troll High Priest here will get taken down. Lich sitting at level 3. Dreadlord getting to level 3. And we'll see if it's going to be level 2 Vampire, or level 2 on Holy Aura, level 1 Vampiric Aura. Should be a longer sleep. And that is going to be very, very interesting. A longer sleep, generally sleep you don't really want beyond level 1 just because your opponent at this level is able to attack and wake up your own units so quickly and easily. We can see that Knights are currently out on the field. Scroll of the Beast now down. Death Knight could pick that up. Come on, that's 200 gold right there. Yeah, gonna go ahead and pick that up right there. Dreadlord, Lich, Death Knight. Death Knight, if it gets to level 5 with level 3 Lich, we could perhaps see Carry On Wave in order to add in a little bit of damage there. All right, Siege Engines now making a play back over here. Train up some meat wagons seriously. If you know your opponent is going into Siege Engines, that is definitely something you will need. All right, Siege Engine off over here was able to finish off this necropolis. Meanwhile, we are still looking at very heavy creeping. Death Knight, I'm hoping to get to level 5, and it's gonna be quite some time before it actually gets there. Also, the Death Knight still sitting on so many hit points that it should be very, very easy for that Death Knight to to just be in the front lines. Normally, the Death Knight in the front lines is rather scary because even though it is a strength-based hero and even though it is a melee hero, it is so crucial, and you kind of want to play him in the mid-range just so that he doesn't fall apart too much. All right, Knight, 985. All right, Archmage, is he going to be able to make its way back out? Destroyers are here as well. Are we going to see a sleep onto perhaps, yes, a hero right there, and the Panda is going to be seeing better days. All right, Paladin, quickly taken down. Staff of Sanctuary, never mind, there is another sleep there, and this Panda is going to get taken out very, very quickly. Wait for it. There you go. There it is. And this Panda does not have a chance whatsoever. It will get 4 units surrounded and get taken out. All right, level 2 Panda now taking out Archmage. Has options. Meanwhile, you can see a guard tower under construction there up against a Gargoyle. Gargoyle realizes, hey, I have no shot at all, as a Frostworm now joining in on the fight. Death Knight may be able to get to level 5. I don't believe so, though. I think there's just too many heroes, and because of that, too many heroes, it's going to be just shy of level 5 after the clearing of this creep camp. All right, Dreadlord sitting at 3. Lich should be... Lich is at 4, getting close to 5 as well, and if he does clear out this expansion here, that's going to be a big deal. Meanwhile, it looked as though something was going on off over here, and that was quickly taken out. All right, level 2 masonry upgrades. Level 3 does not look like they will be started. More knights are being added. Forest Troll Warlord going to get taken down. Death Knight regenerating a bit of hit points. Frostworm does show up to the party. There you have it. Death Knight still sitting at, finally gets to level 5. This would be a good time for the Death Knight to leave now that he can no longer gain experience, as the Dreadlord picks up a Staff of Silence. And, well, the Death Knight decides, hey, you know what, Dreadlord, you really don't need level 3. Let me get back close into here and steal some of your experience again. Ghoul attempting to finish off a Forest Troll High Priest. And what's going to be funny about this is that the Forest Troll High Priest, which is normally weak to a Ghoul, has additional 5 armor, and that is actually one of the reasons why it is staying alive here, and it is going to be able to deal additional bonus damage, and he'll eventually kill the Ghoul once his mana runs out, since he will no longer be able to heal himself. All right, Dreadlord sitting at 4, Lich sitting at 4, Death Knight sitting at 5. Expansion now down over here underway. Meanwhile, Death Knight, Human Army bringing themselves over into the corner. This red dragon is going to actually get focused down by this flying machine. The Griffin Riders are unable to attack anything else, so this is a little bit funny right here. Even though it does have fortified armor, the heavy armor, it actually is magic immune, hence why it is not going to get taken out all too quickly. All right, flying machines finally adding in a little bit of damage right there. Red Dragon level 10 going to finish off another Goblin Zeppelin before it gets taken down. Wand of Illusion and Stone Token has been dropped down. All right, off over here in the corner, Death Knight finishes off one guard tower there, takes down another unit there. We're going to see a level 5 Death Knight, level perhaps 5 Lich almost, and a level 4 Dreadlord in an upcoming fight. And what's really important is going to be the number of strong, useful items that have been dropped. Archmage with that Robe of Magi, Staff of Sanctuary, Staff of Teleportation, going to be very helpful. We can see the Stone Golem is on the Panda, and the Panda with a Staff of Sanctuary for himself. That means he could also Staff of Sanctuary the Archmage after the Staff, and then eventually the Archmage would be able to make its way back over with a quick teleport. All right, Frostworm going to go ahead and engage right down over here. Rock Golem taking a bit of damage, getting focused down rather fast. Lich still sitting at level 4 and gonna be very close to level 5. I don't see the Dreadlord in here, so this is deliberate to try and get the Lich to be able to have level 3 Frost Nova, and with level 3 Frost Nova, HLA may be able to just simply hero nuke down those units. The big issue right now, though, is going to be the fact that those flying machines are not going to fall very quickly. All right, let's take a look. Haunted Gold Mine down over here. It was spotted, as we are now going to see a little bit of an engagement. There is a big plan right there, a big engagement right there, as the Dreadlord now is going to have a little bit of a problem. All right, beautiful Breath of Fire. Flying machines now going after the targets, and there is just not enough Crypt to try and focus down all of those flying machines. Frostworm looks like it was about to get taken down. Are we going to see a big turnaround right there? There is a turnaround right there, as the flying machines are still trying to go after it. Not going to work. However, there are a couple flying machines now on the ground here. Silence across multiple units. More flying machines are in the backfield. They are no longer engaging, as the Griffins are just finishing off everything all across the board. Level 3 Breath of Fire, and all of that work by HLA, having superior heroes just completely neutralized because yAwS was able to keep the composition of his army secret for so long, goes straight into massive air. And now, what is going to be done? Griffin Riders easily finish off an Obsidian statue in just 1 or 2 shots. There you go, or 1 or 2 volleys, excuse me. Dreadlord going to get taken out. There it goes as well, and that is going to be the game. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed it.